Hello and welcome to Before They Knew Better, the podcast from DIY Magazine. I'm Lisa Wright. This is
Giles Bidder.
It's Giles Bidder. And today we have the excellent pop extraordinaire. She was our Eurovision entry this year. She's just released a cracker of an album. It's Mae Muller.
Mae Muller. Sorry, I'm late.
When she was here, we asked Mae, as we will be asking all of our guests, to bring in one photo, one song and one object of their choosing that represent important, funny, perhaps wistful, nostalgic moments from their youth and teenage years. And Mae, safe to say, she delivered. So let's hand over to Mae Muller. Thank you for listening to this newest episode of Before They Knew Better with DIY Magazine. Hope you enjoy. Mae Muller, hello. Thank you so much for coming on Before They Knew Better, our DIY podcast. How's your day going today?
Hello, my day it's very nice. I've just been doing bits and bobs, you know.
Pop star bits and bobs or regular bits and bobs?
Regular bits and bobs, some pop star bits and bobs, but right now I was just watching Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, so it wasn't so... I was almost in some downtime.
Okay, yeah.
You need it. We all need it.
Yeah, exactly. We all need it.
You're a big reality TV gal.
I am. I go through my phases, but I find it quite nice to it's a nice escape. I actually find it really quite calming and peaceful to watch, even though a lot of reality TV is full of sort of people fighting with each other. I don't know. It's that sort of stuff that you don't have to really think too much about when you're watching it, which is sometimes quite nice.
Yeah. Also, maybe I always find with those sort of things that you watch it and you go, oh, maybe I'm actually just really normal and calm and sane. And it actually gives you quite a nice sort of confidence boost about your own life.
Anything that makes me feel sane, I'm love this.
When was the first time you thought, oh, I'm gonna do an album? I mean, I imagine it's always been in the back of your mind, but when was the first, this is gonna be the time?
It's really weird because there wasn't really ever a moment where I was okay, from now on, I'm gonna be writing for my album, or there was never really a start to it, and there was never really an end. It was just I was making music and just figuring out how I liked to express myself and what I wanted to say, what my message was. And, over the course, there's some songs on this album that I wrote 4 years ago. So it's I feel like I was just writing because I feel like I had things to say. And then, about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, that's when we started thinking about an album. But it wasn't okay, now I have to write an album. I was I feel like I have songs already that I really want to be on there. So then I kind of built on that, but I can't really remember the start of it. It just sort of was always kind of happening, and it was always sort of in the back of my mind.
Is that why it's called Sorry I'm Late? Because it's been a long time coming, or just because you're quite a sort of perpetually late person?
I guess I love the whole tongue-in-cheek thing, and I feel in a lot of my writing I kind of play on that, and I think in a kind of tongue-in-cheek way it was my way of going, it took a while for me to get here, and it took a lot for me to get here, but I'm here now and I'm not going anywhere. And on the cover art, it's me sat at a dinner table, and then there's all these other characters. It's sort of Last Supper vibes, and they're all different versions of me, and they all represent a song on the album, but it also represents their parts of who I am, who I once was, what it took for me to get to this, place. And then in the center, it's me as I am now today, thriving amongst all of it. It just felt really like a full circle moment, and being able to see it now, I'm it really kind of expresses that, and expresses I'm here to stay.
Did you have fun doing that album artwork? Did you do all those looks in one day?
It was a 2-day shoot, but it wasn't we split the looks into 7 looks one day, 7 looks the other, because we had to do one shoot which was video, and the second shoot was just pictures. So we had to do 15 looks
Damn.
each day. And they're not just like little changes. It's like wigs, like changing the wigs, like completely different glam, like crazy outfits. It was 2 18-hour days.
God,
What was your favorite? What was the costume you stepped into and you were like, this is a bit of me, this?
I loved there's the Me, Myself and I character, which is she's sort of got like a beehive and she's in like a power suit, because I just like, that's what that song is all about. It's about feeling empowered and like in control, and that is how it was really how I felt in that outfit. And there's a song called Breathe on the album, and she's more of like a subdued character, and she had this like, she's got this middle part like long, like dark, kind of like Cher-esque wig on, and I just felt really like I felt like Cher. I was like, I love this.
Is that like a fun part of the whole pop star experience for you? I feel like I cannot sing, I should never be put onto a stage, but the idea of sitting there and doing the glam and getting to sort of serve the looks seems like
yeah, it is really fun because it's just another way you can express yourself. I feel like obviously there's certain pressures that come with that, but I think once you kind of just have fun with it and go, you know, it is just another way to show who you are, like how you feel, like how you can feel sort of liberated and, you know, empowered and sexy and beautiful and confident, you know. And I think there's so many ways you can do that, and it can be different depending on the day. So I've always found like a lot of joy in the whole like glam experience, and even just with like nails and like accessories. I've always kind of enjoyed exploring with that. So it, you know, it's a nice bonus that it's sort of, it can be part of the job really.
Yeah, dressing up box as
exactly.
as a career angle. And obviously, I mean, I'm guessing, so if this has been a long time coming, tracks were from several years ago, obviously there was a pretty large thing that happened in your life just in the middle of all of this run-up. Like what I would imagine for the Eurovision, you just put everything on pause for however long that lasts. Like, did it feel just like a mad bubble?
Yeah, so it was insane. So the Me, Myself and I campaign, like, so the single that is out now, that was going to be like the kickstart to like the album campaign, and we had shot the video, everything was ready, and literally we were on the day we were going to announce Me, Myself and I, but we were sort of waiting for the Eurovision news, and but it was like going to be the day that we were going to announce Me, Myself and I, so we were like, you know, we need to sort of know if it's like confirmed or not, and it was. So like from the drop of the hat, like everything was moved. Like we had all, the album was basically ready, like we had a music video, but obviously I understood why, and I was like, if we have to move everything, you know, 5-6 months, like let's do it, because by the time we get to that point it'll be worth it. And it was so perfect that, you know, after Eurovision had ended, like we had everything ready to go. We had the album cover art, we had the trailer for the album, we had the music video, we had the single. So it wasn't like, I feel like that experience, and you know, that experience coming to an end would have been way more scary if then I was like, all right, now what? Like, what do I do now? Like, how do I follow that up? But we just came straight with like, all right, here's an album, like here's this, here's a tour, you know. And so that just felt really, really good that I could just get straight back into it, and kind of, obviously because there's a buzz around it, and I felt like I had something to offer, and I had something to like ride the wave with, you know.
All of that. I mean, obviously you were absolutely robbed, and we're all very much team Mae here, but like I think even aside from that, like I don't know, I think you handled it amazingly well. I think like it's been funny. You could have easily just been like, oh fuck, and just sort of buried your head in the sand for a bit, whereas actually it seems like you've sort of done the exact opposite and just been like, lol, that was fun, here's more of what I do, here's a record, it's great.
Yeah Honestly, like there was no shying away from the fact that, you know, it was really afterwards, like it was really intense, but I only allowed it, like I allowed myself to kind of really wallow in it for like a day. I was like, I have to give myself a day to just like process, like be upset. And then after that I was like, cool, that's done. Like, and the second I started taking control of like that narrative and like owning it in my way, I felt like free again, and I felt like it wasn't the end of the world, and actually everything is fine. So it was really nice to be able to kind of come out the other end, and it was also it was like such an amazing experience, and I gained so much from that, and I met some amazing people, and so it was definitely it's all worth it, you know. And I feel like there was a lot I gained a lot, and there were a lot of wins as well, I think.
Yeah, no regrets.
No regrets, no regrets.
I mean, what a wild thing. You're going to look back in a few years, and then every year that goes past, you're going to remember that wild year that you had.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be so interesting watching it next year as well.
From
our point of view, from a fan's point of view, it's so cool to have you be the Eurovision UK entry, and then your album, your personality with your stamp with you.
And that was really important to me, because obviously with Eurovision, like, it's not like you can't be yourself and you have to, but like there is you have to respect the process, and, you know, you're sort of like working with the BBC and things like that, which is like amazing. But you know, there was some, because I'm quite outspoken and I'm a bit of a, you know, I say silly things sometimes, not harmless, but like there was a part of me which felt like I had to kind of like censor and like be sensible and like not be completely. And I think obviously a bit of that was coming from me and like in my own head, because when you've got millions of people looking at you, like I did feel a bit like, let me just hold back a bit. And so now it's really nice to kind of not be in that headspace. And with this album, I can just like say what I want, like, and be like 100% just like myself again. It feels good.
Yeah. What's it like on the inside? Is there any like I think, you know, we see the kind of big sparkly Eurovision show. Are there any bits when you were doing it where you were like, this is not what I expected the Eurovision Song Contest to be?
I mean, I didn't know what to expect. Like from like, I just had no idea. I think, I mean, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. It's just so much. Like there's no other way to describe it. Like it is just, you're on 100, like you're going a million miles an hour from the word go. It's like, okay, like you are on, and you will not stop for the next 3 months. But that's what it takes, like, to get through it and to do it properly. Like that's what it takes. And you have to just be in that mindset where it's like, all right, I'm living and breathing Eurovision now. Like that's it. Yeah. And once you tap into it and you accept that, you get into it, and you know, it's good.
Did you have some surprising people reach out to you that took you by surprise? What was your wildest encounter?
Didn't Lana Del Rey like tweet about wishing you luck for it?
That was like, I mean, it was so crazy. Like Lana Del Rey, and then, you know, like Sam Smith was really vocal and supportive. I mean, there was so many people. And then afterwards, like after the final, you know, I was feeling a bit sorry for myself and everything. And then Graham Norton, who I have loved since I was, you know, since I can remember, and like his show, I'm just obsessed with. I think he is like the pinnacle of just like showbiz, and I just love him. And he posted me on his Instagram and like wrote a really lovely message, and then messaged me afterwards, and I was just like, oh my God. I was like, it was all worth it because Graham posted me. But it was just little pinch me moments like that, which were like felt really special. And yeah, just kind of, I did feel a lot of love for sure. And obviously I will speak about Eurovision and people want to hear about it. And I love it. I know. And I like talking about it, but for me, it's like, that is just something that I can talk about, but the future is the focus now. And that's what I can that's where my like head is at.
And speaking of the future.
Yeah, I was just about to say, speaking of the future, let's make you talk at length about your childhood and things that happened a really long time ago.
Because we've got this great photo of you.
Oh, yes. It's pretty good.
Please tell us, what's the story behind it?
The story behind it is I think I must have been about 6, just turned 6, maybe even 5. And I just got the urge to just give myself a makeover and chop my hair off. But I remember doing it, and I did it in my bedroom, and I was trying to hide the bits of hair like behind my bed because I thought my mum would be really angry, and she actually thinks it's like the chicest haircut I've ever had. And it's like, a sort of, can I just say, I will just say, I think I sort of was before my time, because it was sort of like I kind of cut myself this fringe, which was a bit janky and like was sort of rested like halfway down my forehead. And I feel like that's kind of chic now.
Well, yes, it's definitely before the Zooey Deschanel time.
Do you know what I mean? So maybe I was a sort of low-key trendsetter. But yeah, the photo, I do look like I've, been dragged through a hedge backwards.
I think my favourite thing about this picture is just how chuffed with yourself you look. Like there is no sense of embarrassment or shame. You're just like, I've got this. I've nailed it.
I don't know why I did it, but I remember having like no fear about it, or no like, oh my God, like what's it going to look like? I was like, this is the best idea ever and it's going to look amazing.
Is that sort of indicative of what your personality was like when you were a 6-year-old?
Yeah, for sure. I do think back to like when I was a kid, to when I was a teenager. It's like, oh my God, like I was just so fearless. And I think that is for a lot of people, like the stuff I did when I was younger, I'm like, I would not dream of doing that now, because you just don't have any fear when you're younger, or you have a lot less fear. And I guess because you have, you've had less time to kind of experience some like consequences and like people judging and all that. I think I remember I was quite a fearless child, and I was never afraid of kind of embarrassing myself, or looking slightly different, or what, I was an odd looking thing for a long time.
That's a good way to be, not fearless of that stuff.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I kind of wished, I sometimes feel like, yeah, I could learn something from her, a thing or two from her now. So I need to tap back in to that 5-year-old chopping her hair off.
Was your mum annoyed?
No,
or was she?
She wasn't annoyed. She found it hilarious. I think she was a bit shocked, but she actually loved it. Like my mum, when I was in year 7, she was a big advocate of like cutting my hair. She was like, I wanted to cut my hair into a bob, and she was always very like, yeah, like she was very supportive. She was like, yeah, like you should do it. And then in hindsight, like going into year 7 with like basically a bowl cut was like not the best idea. But it's character building, But yeah, she loved it. She loved it.
Have there been any hair disasters over the years?
Oh, good question.
Well, apart from that one, I don't think so. My hair is quite. I tend to just leave it alone, because it is quite a disaster. Like I have a lot of hair. It's very thick, and it can get very, very frizzy. So literally, if I try and do anything fun with it, it just like freaks out. And I can't have any hairstyle that takes any upkeep, like, because I can't. So I just leave it alone. So there's no chance for any disasters, because I don't do anything with it. I just scared to touch it. Apart from a blow dry. A blow dry is, how crazy I'll go.
That's blow dry is fine. I really do like, Day, that you were just this sort of fearless little thing running around yonking bits off your fringe. Like, is that so? You're like you're London born and bred?
Yeah.
Do you think maybe like, I don't know, do you think the sort of like, because there's a difference between London kids and like country kids, and I think all of this I think maybe when you're in London you're a bit more streetwise and maybe sort of run with different sort of crowds and stuff. Yeah. Do you think that sort of had a bit of a bearing on you being like a bit?
I think there is just an energy when you're born in London, and just in London in general, like you have to be quick, like it's busy, like, you have to kind of be like quick on your feet at times, and you have to be kind of aware of your surroundings. And it's not just like, and I think that does something to you, like as a kid, and when you're playing out and everything like that. I just feel like there is just like an energy. I mean, it'll always be home for sure.
Do you ever get in trouble much as a kid?
I mean, I wasn't like off the rails naughty, but I was a little bit naughty, like just a bit like quite cheeky. And I would always at every parents' evening, it was like, she's a bit of a chatterbox, she talks a bit too much. We've had to it was literally every single year at every school parents' evening, it was just like, talks too much. Because and this is why I love podcasts and things, because I love to chat. Like nothing has changed. So Yeah, back when I wasn't allowed to, it was very, very difficult for me to shut up.
Did you channel that into like the performing, like drama? Were you like a drama kid?
No, I mean, I did enjoy drama, and I did drama at GCSE and A level, so I definitely I liked that. I think I just, yeah, like the whole like expressing yourself and performing. Like I just always liked that, and I always like, you know, as a kid, I kind of liked that attention, you know, that performing gave me. I've been an attention seeker, you know, since 1997. And I liked that feeling. And I think that's when you kind of know, either when it didn't scare me to get up in front of a crowd and kind of like in assemblies at school and things like that. I really enjoyed that. So that was kind of a telltale sign to me that, you know, it was something that I was going to want to do when I was older.
Yeah.
Being in Kentish Town, you're around the corner from Amy Winehouse, Lily Allen was a North London girl.
Yeah, and the Hawley, which is a pub that like Amy Winehouse, literally that was her local, and that's like just down the road from where I live. So I go there quite a lot, and it's like, I think it definitely makes a difference when you're, you know, I'm not saying I ever bumped into her and we were drinking down the pub together, but it's that energy and that's that. And I think also, you know, just in Camden, you've got like the Roundhouse, you've got Coco, then you've got Kentish Town Forum, you've got Jazz Cafe, Electric Ballroom. Like they are all incredibly like iconic venues, and that's literally within that, they're all within 10 minutes of each other, like 15 minutes of each other. So I think there is definitely a very like creative, fun, like exciting energy like around here, and I've been really lucky to sort of grow up like within that.
So at that time, were you writing a diary perhaps?
Yes. I have had many diaries in my time, but I was more of an avid diary entry person when I was younger, closer to the big chop times.
The big chop. So the one that you have brought in, Groovy Chick, the original icon, I would say. There's like Spice Girls, and then she's the animated Spice Girls, really, isn't it?
It absolutely is. I wish I had the physical diary with me now, but I'm sure it's at my mum's, and I have to go and find it. And it is like, I mean, honestly, reading this diary, it is the most hilarious thing you'll ever see. I'm like talking about, nothing has changed. I am talking about a different boy on every single page. Oh my God, I love Jack. He's my boyfriend. Next page. Oh my God, Jordan, I can't wait to marry Jordan when I'm older. Like literally boy crazy since the age of 6. Like no joke. And it is just so funny when you think, you know, when you're younger, like everything is sort of what matters to you and what you think is important. Like it is just hilarious.
And what are these entries? Are they short entries?
Very short. Like it's not giving like, you know, detailed and like thought provoking. It's literally like every single page is just like today, da 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 da. Next page, this happened, and then da 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 da. And then there was actually the odd song in there that I wrote.
Oh, the first steps.
Yeah, there was one song, and this was when I was a little bit older. I was probably about 7 or 8, I think. And Florence and the Machine, who I am obsessed with, who I was very obsessed with when I was younger, and she had a song called My Boy Builds Coffins, and you know, it's kind of very just Florence-esque in that, and like in that kind of fairy tale world that she creates. And I kind of tried to like copy that, and I wrote a song called My Boy's a Werewolf, and I was 8 years old, and I sang about my boyfriend turning into a werewolf at night. And like I was just reading it, and I was like, wow, her brain, like what's she going through?
Can you remember any of how it went?
No. Oh my God. This is why I need to find the diary. If I go to my mum's, and I'll try and fish it out for you guys, but it is honestly pretty hilarious. And there are some pages I know that, which I'm so upset about, that are ripped out. So I'm like, damn, I don't know what happened there, but I'm regretting it now, because I would like to see what they
That was when Kevin clearly just went one step too far. It just spurned you in a way that had to be erased.
Yeah,
completely.
My one day boyfriend was he did me wrong. I did grow out of it. And then when I was a bit older in secondary school, I went back to the diary entry thing, but it was a bit more grown up and like slightly more detailed. And I would actually write an entry that was more than a page, but not as interesting really, not as fun, not as funny.
Was it like you transitioned from writing a diary to the songs being the diary?
No, I mean, I think the diary thing was more of, it was more of like a hobby that I just kind of wanted to test out. And obviously this is way more like, I remember I was a big fan of the Diary of Anne Frank, which was obviously very like different vibes. Different vibes.
I was not expecting that.
Sorry, I know. But when I read that, I was like, oh, I would love to have like a, I don't know, is that weird? I don't know. Sorry, I know it's.
Have you ever read it, Lisa? I haven't.
Yeah, I just don't think I've never looked at Anne Frank's life and been like, I'd like a bit of that. That looks great.
No, and I didn't think that either. But I loved how, you know, there was such a detailed like account of like all her like thoughts and feelings, and it was so beautifully written. So that's why the second time around I had a diary, I was like trying to be in my like writing bag, and I was like, I'm going to take it seriously. But that didn't. It didn't last. Didn't last very long. But yeah, I think the music side and like songs, that was more of just like, that wasn't really like, oh, I'll just like write some, like that was more ongoing. Like that never really left me. But the diary entries did. They didn't. Yeah,
diary entries.
I often wonder with. Like I felt I was really lucky at school. We had like a little studio, like a utility cupboard, tiny little studio where when we started bands, when we were age 13, that's where we'd try and record at lunchtime. And I think like if you're a singer, where do you start? Where did you start with that?
I started by just I would sing covers on YouTube, and they were so rubbish because I didn't play an instrument or anything. So it wasn't like those like actually good covers that like they're playing the guitar. Like, no, I got some like rubbish like instrumental and would like play it on my laptop or something, and then like film myself and I would sing. And so I did that. I think I got one of the videos got 3,000 views, and that was like, I thought I was famous. I was like, I've made it.
Still pretty good.
You know, I thought that was pretty good for back in the day. I was like, yes. And then you know, I would sing in assemblies and like just little things like that, but like very amateur and nothing crazy. And then I then in like 2017, I think it was, I uploaded my first song on like SoundCloud, and then it kind of grew from there. And I would upload snippets on Instagram. A lot of it was just like online stuff, really. Like I didn't do the like open mic nights, or like I didn't do busking. It was very much sort of online and like trying to just get my voice out there. Someone reached out to me, so they ended up being my manager for a few years, and they were with this producer, and the producer is amazing, and I've worked with them now, and they've like done singles. But at that time they were just like, you know, my boyfriend is this producer and he's done like X, Y, and Z. And I was like, oh my God, this is real life. Like I've had someone contact me who can get me in this actual studio with someone that's worked with like these amazing people. I was like, no way. So that was really crazy when that happened. And and then we actually did get in the studio, but it wasn't until like quite a while after, because I was like, my first studio session cannot be with like somebody that actually, like, I have to have some practice. So I sort of went around and just like kind of got my like practice my writing a bit more, got into rooms with people that I felt a bit less, I guess, intimidated by, because they were sort of just kind of did it for hobbies as well. And then once I started sort of getting in those rooms where it was like people had some serious credentials, I wasn't as sort of scared anymore.
Is that still like a place that you feel the most like when you kind of think about the thing that you most enjoy out of this whole sort of pop star game? Is it the live show? Is it the songwriting? Is it kind of the bit before anyone knows and you're just sitting on this like special little song, or you're in the studio and you're belting it out?
Oh, that's a good question. Mine is definitely live shows, like touring and like festivals and like headline shows, just having people like sing your lyrics back to you. I think that for me will always be my favorite. I actually find songwriting like I love it, but I find it quite hard, as in, because for me there's nothing scary than like a blank page, and so I always find like the start of it, I mean, and I'm sure that's the same for everyone, but I'm always just like, oh my god, I've got to go into the studio and like I've got to write another one. And another one. And I'm like, I know it's literally my job, and it's like, don't fucking complain. Like, this is what you've been asking for your whole life. And I'll never take it for granted. But I think I prefer it when the songwriting part is actually done. But there is actually not a better feeling than writing a song that you're really, really proud of, or like writing a chorus that you're really proud of. Because once you've written the chorus, for me, you're in, and then you can just have verses and stuff. But I think for me, like touring is, I love it. I love it so much.
Did you have a friend or a sibling who introduced you to the more alternative side of music?
I think my mum, she actually kind of introduced me to like Lily Allen, and I think she might have introduced me to Florence as well. I can't remember who it was. It was one of those ones where it's like that. I just remember I've just always kind of loved them. But I know that my mum bought the All Right Still album while we were on holiday, and it was like the soundtrack of the holiday, and I just loved it. And I was too young to understand all the kind of subject matter, but like I just loved the way she like was just so honest and like kind of shocking and smart and funny. And I, even as an 8-year-old, I felt like I really got it and I understood her. And so ever since then, I've just been like, yeah, I want to do that.
There's a bit of Lily in your music for sure. I think you can hear the influence. Yeah. Which brings us up, well, so the track that you chose for us today is a Florence one. So that was Cosmic Love, which I was looking up and I sort of forgot that was on, like, because her debut album was 14 years ago now, which just seems nuts that she's been around for so long. But that would have made you, what, like 11? Something like that?
Well, I thought I was younger, but maybe I was 11. I thought I was a bit younger than that. But yeah, I guess if it came out 14 years ago, I would be, I don't even want to think about it.
Do you remember the first time you heard Cosmic Love? I mean, this is your song that's symbolic of your growing up.
Yes.
What memories have you got attached to it?
I remember it's because I was reading at the same time. I was reading the Twilight books, and I was obsessed with the Twilight books. And I can't explain it to you, but that song, while reading the Twilight books, like that was the soundtrack for those books in my head. And like, I just loved how visual it was. And like, it was just, those two things just went really, really hand in hand for me. And then I do remember my first sort of real heartbreak when I was like 13, about a boy at school that I was like completely in love with. And I remember just listening to Cosmic Love at night in bed with my earphones, just like crying. But I felt like I was, when it's like you're really giving into the cry, and you're like, I felt like I was in a movie, and I was like, I'm so heartbroken. Oh my God. And the song is it's so intense and like epic and like kind of almost like not theatrical, but just so, it really like sometimes when you're feeling sad, you need something that's just going to like sucker punch you.
Really just like more amp it up.
Yeah.
It validates it. It validates the sadness.
It definitely does. And I think sometimes like when you're feeling that way, like you just got to, almost like a purge, and you've just got to get every last bit out. And if that means, listening to something which is going to do that. But that was my favorite song on that album, and I still love it now. Have you met Florence? Oh my gosh, no. I would love to meet her, but I'd be very nervous. But I hope so one day. She's such a huge part of my childhood, but also now, like, I think she's had such an amazing career, and like what an incredible like creative genius she is. And a great storyteller. And even though like she's such an inspiration to me, even though our music is like quite different, I've always wanted my music to be really visual and like for people to be able to close their eyes and like really kind of like see it. And I feel like I learned that from her, because she's like the queen of that. So yeah, I don't know. I'd probably just scurry off like a little rat if I saw her.
I've heard that she's lovely.
I'm sure she is. I'd be so shocked if I'd heard any different. And I've only heard that she is lovely, but I don't know. Oh, it's scary. It's scary meeting your idols.
Have you had any like really big moments where you've met like big inspirations yet?
Yeah, when I met Lily Allen, and
that's good.
It was a really surreal experience. I was out with my dad, and he had taken me somewhere to have a birthday breakfast. It was 2019, so a few years ago, but I'd done music, I was in it kind of thing. And I had just announced that I was supporting Little Mix on tour, which was like a massive deal for me. So I was already feeling kind of like a bit mad. And I was having breakfast with my dad, and I was facing the room and he was like facing towards me. And then I just saw like down my vision that Lily was there. And I literally looked at my dad and I was like, okay, obviously in like very dad fashion, I was like, don't look now, Dad, do not look now. But Lily Allen is like sat behind you, and he goes, where? And I was like, Dad, look, stop looking. And obviously in my mind, like, that's my hero. So I kind of caught eyes with her, and she looked at me and she recognized me and she blew me a kiss. And I was like, no, this is not happening. And because it's one thing like kind of like coming across your hero and then them kind of recognizing you. I was like, no, I didn't want to bother her while she was like having her breakfast, whatever. So as she was getting up to leave and she was walking out, I was like, I have to just go up to her and say something. So I went up to her and I was just like, I love you. And I remember saying, because I'm not very good at like, if I see someone I like, I had to say something. And I just said, she was like, oh, congratulations on everything. You're doing really well. And I was just like, oh, thank you so much. And I said, I have to thank you, because if it wasn't for you, like I probably wouldn't be doing any of this. And I genuinely like believe that. And I still believe that now, that without her music, like I really don't think I would have kind of written the songs that I had, or written the songs that kind of got me to the place I am. So I had to sort of fangirl for a second.
What did she say?
Oh, she was very just like, oh no, like don't be silly kind of thing. And I was just like, no, I'm being serious. And then I didn't want to like be one of those like crazy people. So I just said, that's all. I just wanted to say hi. And so then she left. But it was a very nice, full circle moment for sure.
Well, Florence and Lily, those are two pretty great people to look towards, musically, lyrically, visually.
Yes. No, I mean, I feel like I'm even just lucky to be born at the right time where they could be my, like, be my inspirations, And
also, you mentioned Little Mix there. I mean, that's a pretty nuts thing to have done when you were, if that was 5 years ago now, that would have still been sort of relatively at the start of things kicking up a gear.
Yes.
Like, did that feel like...
It was crazy, because it was like, now thinking back, like that was pretty early on, I think I'd only been doing it for like, maybe just over like, maybe like a year and a half. So to have then be going on like a 32 arena show, it was like, that was such an amazing experience, and I learned so much, and they were really lovely, and to watch them, they're such amazing performers and they work really hard. So seeing that, being around that was amazing. And I kind of, you have to learn like on this job, and I'd done 2 headline shows by that point, but they were like, the biggest capacity was like 300 people. So it was going from that to, arenas, and I was like, I'm either going to like, what was it, like fall or fly. And so but I was surprised by how kind of quickly I picked it up. And the first show, you can see there's like footage of me and I'm literally like behind the curtain, like shaking like a leaf. I'm like, how am I going to do this? And then by the third show, I'm like, woo, let's go.
Yeah.
So I feel like it just, by then I really knew, I was like, okay, like this is what I'm meant to do. Like this is where I feel comfortable. Like I feel like I'm in the swing.
Did they give you any advice while you were on the tour?
They were basically, it sounds really simple, but they were just like, enjoy it, like enjoy every moment, and not just of this tour, but just of your experience, because it's, you know, it will go by and you don't want to get to, you know, wherever and be like, oh, I wish I'd been more present and enjoyed it a bit more. And I think that's still so relevant now, just in life as well. So it was definitely very good advice.
What I guess you see in like a documentary or those behind the scenes things and stuff, but is maybe not the glitzy bit. It's like just how much work goes into those shows. And it's, you know, the whole, like, it takes a village to sort of make these things. Like,
no, definitely.
As a 21-year-old or whatever, that's quite a big thing to sort of get. It's not just I've got to step out on stage in front of loads of people. It's like, oh my God, like I've got to, you know, be healthy and and not go to Hampstead Heath and drink loads of Glens every night because I've got to go on stage the next day and be like rested.
Nah, I still do that.
I mean, yeah, I still did some questionable things. I remember in Newcastle on the tour, and I got, you know, there was 2 support acts, me and a band, and we all went out one night and we got a little bit drunk, and I fell, and we had a show the next day, and I was so lucky. I was messing about and I fell on the pavement, like flat on my face, like landed on my face, and I chipped my front tooth, but like not chipped, like I cracked it, but like nothing severe. It hurt, and I thought, oh my God, have I just knocked my tooth out? But it just left a little mark on my tooth, and I was like, oh my God, you idiot! Like, this is like the biggest thing you've done, and you almost just knocked your front tooth out. You got a show tomorrow. So I definitely, you know, did some silly things, but I guess that's all part of it. And you're still growing. You know, I was still a kid, and I was still growing up and learning. And I guess I'm still learning now. But you've got to learn on the job sometimes.
Before they knew better.
Well.
Wow.
Hey.
Stunning.
Some good life lessons, some maybe things that we wouldn't advise. That was Mae Muller. She was wonderful. Yeah, she was fun. Let's all raise a glass of Glens to the wonderful Mae Muller. And we will see you next week for another episode of Before They Knew Better with DIY Magazine. And in the meantime, maybe you could give us a like. Maybe you could press subscribe so that you get this podcast straight into your inbox as soon as it's released. Maybe if you were feeling really nice, you might even give us a little rating or a review on whichever podcast platform you listen to this on. That'd be nice. So, thank you, Mae Muller. Thank you for listening, and we will see you again next week.
Don't forget to pick up the latest issue of DIY Magazine with the cover feature Lauren Mayberry from Churches. She gives us the lowdown from her latest US tour and her new album. Pick it up at DIYmag.com.